I also was with corporates for about 18, 19 years. I started with Satyam Computers, which was then a startup only in today's language. Then I joined Wipro, which was again a small company, Wipro InsurTech, and then I joined Infosys. It was a medium-sized company with about 3,000 people, and so whenever I joined any of the corporate life back in my days, they were small companies only. So of course, you get tired of this long haul corporate life. There was without any precedence, without any clue to myself. I jumped off the ship and I started my first startup, which was in HR analytical. Because I come from data analytics and financial services kind of background. So that didn't go well. So I had to shut it down. My second startup, I relocated back to Switzerland, started in my fintech, which was my core area, and we did a very good show there with an exit. So in 2016, when it was bought over, I had two choices: either to go back to the Silicon Valley in the US and start my next venture. I was not really sure what I'm going to start, or come back to India. So 2015, 16 are the years when India was, witnessing aggressive growth and radical changes. Well, yeah, I mean, it's one's personal drive. I could have continued, and anybody can continue, especially when you're a group CEO, and then you raise further to become CEOs, and you can eat bigger and bigger part of the cake, but you'll be doing the same thing. There's no change in the challenges per se. So it becomes stereotyped at some point. And so many of the corporate seniors jump off, thinking that they need bigger challenges. So what happens is when you're in senior leadership team, everyday challenges will become very predictable and monotonous after some time. There are people like probably there are many people, and I'm also one among them, who look for a very big challenge when you wake up in the morning. So after some time, corporate life doesn't offer that. You could have a big challenge, but pretty much of the same doable capacity. Well, I would say pretty much of everything, but having a
Okay.
strong idea is definitely a very good starting point. If you don't have a groundbreaking idea, if you don't understand where the market dynamics are moving to, in which direction the technology or the industries are moving to, then it's going to be very difficult, no matter how cool your idea is. So I always suggest that validate your idea, whether are you in the direction. So if you're if you're on the right track, then with the team, the funding, the timing, everything can change. You can make a definitely an impact, and you could be successful. But if you are on the wrong track, no matter how much you put in any one of these, so I think it's worthwhile doing that if you really think that you're going to make significant impact to the technology, to the human race. Not just always have to be business. Of course, there is a business aspect of it, but you cannot build long-lasting business like Tata's and Reliance if you have a short-term goal of raising funding and reaching the unicorn and just be done with this. I think that's not going to work. And you have seen we are at the time at the while we are also witnessing some of the largest startup growth in the country globally comparing. I think we're probably one of the fastest. We are also witnessing the fallouts of many startups even after reaching unicorn. The reason being simple, that it was in the first place never built for the mass in the interest of the community or to the industry. You To upgrade yourself from an entrepreneur to a statesman, it's an extremely hard journey. I would always suggest that find some substance, which is good for you as an individual. It's good for you as a company. Good, definitely good for the country. You should never forget what you're doing for the country. Recently, when I had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Nitin Gadkari, the Central Minister for the National Highways, Roads, and Infrastructure, the one question he asked was, "You could have started anything parallel to Uber or Ola. Why did you start only for luxury cars?" And I said, like, well, it's not about luxury cars per se. Now, what I want to prove to ourselves is that you don't need to go anywhere to see the richest heritage or the luxury or the culture, the royalties anywhere else in the world. Was, India is, and India will always be the epicenter of anything which is more experiential come to luxury, the royalties, because it is engraved in our blood and in our culture, in our heritage, in our the way we treat our guests, or whether it's customer or your family guest, and that's a rich heritage of the culture, what we have engraved in us. Well, I think as I briefly explained, Hype is a startup which connects premium customer with premium fleet. Like to drive. In India is a country where you have 100 rupees in your wallet, but you're trying to buy something which is 10 lakhs. That's aspirational value. That's the ambition of people, and we are never happy with the smaller scope. The countries like Switzerland, people are very happy and they're contented. They don't want to. They have 3 vacations in a year. They have a stable job, and the attrition is low, and the job is pretty guaranteed for the rest of their life. They don't want to change at all. They don't want to invent the wheel at all. So whereas the Indians are not like that. So we are in one way or the other, in a household or in business or in personal or professional life, we are always inventing something, reinventing something, trying to get more out of everything: the job, relationship, the status, society, your validation. We want to get more out of everything. So when you have that ambition, that aspiration value is high. So we will help you get there and achieve what you can achieve, whether you have it or not today. It doesn't matter. The global headquarter is in Bangalore. We don't have a huge team like thousands of employees or anything. What we use is smart technology where everything is driven by the system, with the technology and the product and the services. They're all interconnected. All of the global calls, just imagine, they land in our Bangalore center, and our operations team takes the call, helps customer. We don't sell anything. We help our customers to buy the best services. We suggest them, and we don't offer anything offline at all. It's completely online, 100% online. So it's pretty legit actually if you look at it from one way. And 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 because it is so automated, because it is so technology driven, everything is on the backbone of technology. Um, there is um, there is less of a human intervention. There's more transparency for customers, and it's extremely convenient for customers. They don't have to disclose where they are going, who they are going, whether it is um, if your captain Virat Kohli is also traveling, he could just book it and we won't even come to know. And the car comes, he gets picked up and he travels. It can be quite discreet and the privacy is protected. I think first and the foremost, when you're starting a startup, don't start with the funding in your mind. I think that's going to sooner or later it's going to be a boomerang. It's going to be all thrown away. But you have your idea. Presentations don't matter. You don't have to never spend a dime on creating the most attractive presentation. Nobody cares about it. You can always spend as little time as possible on the PowerPoint, and you just can tell the investor that you are busy building a business, and nobody cares about a colorful presentation, and that goes very well with any pitch you are making to any investors. That's number one. So never pay somebody to build the most attractive pitch deck or something. Number two is, once you start your business, once you have the first dollar coming in, your customers start buying it. Some of the customers will automatically try to reach out to the founders saying that, hey, what you're doing is great. Like, so have you raised any funding and this and that? And trust me, that's how at Hype it happened, that our first investment came from our customer, and then it became more like a dominoes effect, and there more and more customers came and more and more funding happened. Build a futuristic, stable business that can create more employment, adds to country's growth, create more opportunities for everybody, including the stakeholders, your customers especially, and primarily solves a problem. I think those are, and they will always stay as the mantra for a successful business. We should at some point in time stop calling startups. We should call everything as a business, because only then the seriousness will come. The more you call yourself as a startup, then you will always be hungry for these side attractions, which are not going to make you successful. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty personal, but I still went ahead and put it because that's what I really feel. When my son was born, he was born in Zurich. I think he aspired the uterus water in a hurry to come out. He's a guy who is in big hurry all the time. He just wants to do everything like right now, just like me. So that, because the water entered the lungs and he had to, they had to pump it out, and he was on a defibrillator, and it was very painful to see him struggling. And doctors said that there is very little chance that he's going to make it. 1 in 10,000 babies usually go through this, so it's very rare that they'll come out and they'll make it. But the way this guy just turned it around in, I think, about 7 days, then he was out of the. Well, there is nothing wrong in education. So I think getting good education from top universities is a great thing. If you go back to Tata's forefathers, J.N. Tata, J.R.D. Tata, and they all studied in some of the best schools, colleges in India and abroad. So education does play a very important role. Um, we should never see. I'm also a dropout from my masters, but I don't say that's the. I don't highlight, because that's not the precedence I like to set. If you're studying something, I think there is great prospect. You should study. Then, if you have an idea, unless that drive comes from, yes, well, and you will have that drive one day or the other. To be an entrepreneur per se all the time, you can go pursue your education, take up a fantastic job, and somewhere down the line start supporting a startup. Even if you don't do it, it's not a crime. Or you be an employee of another startup, where again you're joining somebody's mission. That's also great. So it's completely within itself. It's a great ecosystem. So there's nothing right or wrong about it, but it's up to you. How what have you planned out for your own life, career wise and personal choice wise. And I think you should at least give it a chance once in a lifetime.